can possibly get something.
Well, he's been in litigation and everything else, they're supposed to sit down and possibly come up with a resolution either this week or next week for compensation.
Yeah, we also-
I started at
Is it
6:15,
here?
so we should be
Okay.
good to go.
Okay, so we'll call this, public hearing to order. This is the budget hearing. So, we have no public here for comments. Of course, we'll be on this till about 7, so
I scheduled it till 6:45.
6:45.
I can make it later if we need to.
Well, we started a little late, so.
Yeah, but whatever. I don't, so we have to give people time to look at it. Does anybody have any questions as far as the board folks? As you can see, we've increased pretty much everything. The income coming in has gone up a little bit. All of the different areas, license permits, intergovernment revenue, public charges for service, forfeitures and penalties have, of course, as you can see, they've gone down. Intergovernment, that's public service and intergovernment have both gone up. Total revenue has gone up we're predicting 3.96%. Our government expenditures, general government, of course, we've decreased that approximately 7%. Public safety, we've increased by almost 17%. Public works by 22%. And in that public works, that they cover all of our building maintenance and,
7.38%.
oh, I'm on the wrong one. Okay, I'm sorry. Let me get it. Let me do it this way. Thank you. So 7.3, so we do have some repairs we have to do to the facilities and things like that. As far as the truck we purchased, we basically paid off our old loan that we had with Citizens Bank. So the payment that we take over for that, the payment we had will cover more than what the payment on the truck is. So we have no extra payments in our debt. So, and we had to do this, and we talked about this before, because the 2 trucks we had, we were spending money on them like it was unbelievable. Eric has the numbers, but it was well into the thousands that we should have got rid of one or both of those trucks way before this time period. And pretty soon we will have that old DPW truck up and on the market for sale, so we'll apply that money too. Any questions on that? Anybody? But if we can't plow the streets, we're in trouble. Health and Human Services up 22%.
What does that specifically cover, please?
Can you help me out with that a little bit more?
I didn't have a question. I'm
Health and Human Services?
What does that category specifically cover?
I
Jeff wanted us back. You got
I'm sorry.
Towns on here.
Health and Human Services.
I heard it. I don't know the answer though.
Okay.
I haven't looked at the budget in here, to be honest with you, so I'm not sure. My guess is insurance. Okay, awesome.
Let me see if I can find it here. And if you folks would like the breakdown like this on this, we can get that to you from the clerk. Normally we get it by this time. As you know, Kelly was gone for a while.
No, I was like, please come up and.
Okay, just a question from you, if you don't mind.
Correct.
All right.
I just sent you the link for the YouTube page. So if you could share that, please. I'm not a member and Frank, I don't want to be personally.
Okay, Health and Human Services, library is all in there.
The libraries in it?
The library's in it?
Yeah. It's Those
For
are
that small amount?
It's, yeah, that doesn't quite seem right, does it?
Their
No.
budget's usually not,
I think the library is under culture and recreation.
I was gonna say, I would think the library would be,
I'm just looking at it, I think that's what it is.
that would make more sense.
Yeah. Maybe I'm looking at this wrong.
thanks Tracy.
Mhm.
Okay, that's, okay, I see that's at the bottom, so, okay, it looks like, ARAP expense, which is cemetery wages, cemetery, Medicare, cemetery. See, this building.
Oh, I see. I was like that.
Plot, so it's primarily it's cemetery.
Yeah.
Health and Human Services is cemetery costs?
Yeah.
That's the way it looks, yeah.
Okay.
I see, when I said that, it's at the bottom, not at the top of all the
I wrote it
breakdown.
Maybe in the future, can we classify that a little more clearly? Rename it?
Sure.
I mean, it's whatever it usually is. I mean, if it's cemetery, then let's call it cemetery. If it, you know, Health and Human Services to me kind of indicates programs that we're running to help people.
Like nurse on call, et cetera.
Yeah.
You kinda are once they're dead. Just trying to help me.
So anyway, that's what it lays out underneath.
If we go really long, you're gonna have to throw one over here. Okay, so that, yeah, could we maybe look into that for next year's budget, is to just
Sure.
clarify the naming of that?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Jeff, I got some line item specific questions. I don't know if, should we go through those now?
Yeah, let's just take and finish this up. Of course, planning, you can see expenditure, development expenditures are gonna go up 58%.
Is that correct? I was gonna say, that doesn't make sense. It should,
No,
because
it
we're
can't
going
go
from
down.
107 to
Should be going
67.
down.
Right, and that should be going
Yeah.
down, shouldn't be going up 58.
Culture, recreation, that's going up 0.15. Debt service, 1.54.
No,
Yeah, we'll have to clean that up just a little bit there.
yep,
Was there more than one? Or just the one that should be a negative?
that's,
Just the one, I believe. We'll have to look at the renaming later.
right.
So, basically, revenue is going up 3.96, expenditures going up 3.96. Our value went up 1.46. We're at 183 now. Mill rate, you know, it's like 0.84, which is like $15 a household. It's not much. Next year, that will more than likely be going down because you know, we're required by the state to do reassessment. But in that, we'll also more than likely adjust our mill rate down. Okay, before we go to salaries, what's your questions, John?
So I looked through there and just several things that I found. Starts off with the revenue stuff. I want to make sure, there's a couple of them that doesn't look like it has any revenue charges. Or any, it's just basically blank. And there's a few of them that I just want to make sure that we have it correct. First one, and this is just going down the list, fireworks revenue for the permits. It looks like you've increased it quite a bit. I'm just wondering, is that realistic?
You gotta see where that's at.
They probably put it back up to what it was the year prior. Just from, I know that.
Well, it was, but we raised it up even though the revenue looked like it went down for 22.
22, it did go down. I remember getting that check and Warren saying, wow, that was significantly less. So maybe they put it back up to what they thought it should be.
Probably, you know, 22, 21, 22 being, you know, COVID years. And that's, your revenue on that is all based on when people buy fireworks, they they have to pay a permit or something.
Right. It just looked like who sets that anyway? I heard you say they, isn't it the finance committee that, okay. I'm just wondering, it just looked high. I just wanted to make sure that we were looking at it again to make sure that that was realistic.
We think so, yeah.
The next one down, and it's line item 44,910, is engineering fees. There's no amount in there, even though we had some significant engineering fees this year and had a budget for it this year. I'm just wondering, because that's additional revenue that we may have not considered, just because the line item's blank.
I believe a lot of that on engineering fees is a pass-through. What is charged there is also charged back to the developer or whoever it might be.
Okay, well, that's the actual revenue side of it you're looking at there, so that would be for a positive amount for income back to us. I know that some of that charge would go through to the engineer and their actual fees, but we're just not showing any revenue coming in. It's just blank. There's no value dollars.
Isn't that what you felt it was, Larry? It was just kind of a pass-through?
Yeah, that's what
What comes in goes out?
Well, if you look at it for 22, it's a significant amount. It's like 20 some odd $1,000, isn't it?
Yeah,
yeah, it's a substantial amount, yeah.
I'll put a question mark on that and check into it. Okay,
All right, the next one is right below that by a little bit is 46,250 charges for services. I'm not even exactly for sure what charges for services are, but in 22 it shows $11,225, and for 23 you have it at $0 amount. Again, I'm just wondering what that is and why we decided to knock it completely down.
which one do you want to know?
46,250. Wish I could tell you what page it's on, Jeff, but that's the only existing copy that you have there.
Okay. I wonder if we put that into something else. I'll have to question that too, okay?
I thought there was something credited that shouldn't have been. I think that was in 22.
You know, and this is not the final copy, as I said. So some of this may have been moved, and the dressed up copy is, which you'll get is,
It just makes it difficult for us as a board to try to figure out if the high level view of this is correct, or if there's anything that we might be able to adjust to try to bring that mill rate back down so that we're not having to even increase it by $15 or $35 as I estimated it, because you know, our taxes are going up next year too, so trying to make sure that we have everything and there can't be any, you know, missed revenue or missed opportunity to lessen our impact on all of our village residents.
okay?
Next one I got here is for plot sales at the cemetery. It's line 46,540. It went down significantly between 22 actuals and what you proposed for 23. In fact, I'm talking with you, Eric, that we were looking at plot sales to continue being high for the next little bit, just based on the run that we've had, even with COVID potentially being
good. I
over.
thought we had 22, so we had, I would say 22,000 was what we had this year in income for that.
Yeah, but you guys took it way down for estimations for plot revenue coming in for 23.
Do you remember what that might have been, Eric?
I thought it was around 22,000 is what we brought in this year.
It
You brought in
shows you.
24, what is it?
24,600.
Okay.
Tony's asking why do you think it should be so much lower for 23?
Because right now, it's how much is in there as an estimate?
24,600, and then we're estimating 15.
Yeah, so it's a decrease of almost 10,000.
Did COVID have something to do with that amount?
We've been on a tear this year, but it's a lot of people that already have owned some plots there. Like in the last 2 months now, it's slowed down tremendously. We were doing 4 or 5 a month, now we're down. Well, we did 3 this month. You know,
Historically, going back, say, a year or two, could you estimate what you were doing prior to this year?
so this so far this year I think we're gonna break 40, but I think in the past we've done anywhere between 18 to 24 to 27.
And what would the revenue for that be roughly?
Doesn't always mean that they go on a plot.
Okay. Because they could have pre-purchased.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can have 10 burials and only have, 2 plot
Two
sales.
sales.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I thought we were running out of plot spaces,
I was
and we're
gonna say,
supposed to
that's
start
what I
looking.
thought. We're gonna have to move down the hill, basically.
You didn't include anything in the budget for doing that for 23, because that's gonna be a significant cost.
Well, that, the way this was set up will come out of the cemetery fund.
Okay.
So right now, I believe in the cemetery fund, there's 125,000 plus.
So does those plot sales go into the cemetery fund?
Yes.
Okay. So that's not really anything that we can consider going into general revenue. Are we currently doing that? Or do we have a line item that takes that revenue and moves it over to the cemetery fund?
Not sure.
Not sure.
That's a significant $25,000 on a $2.3 million, or I'm sorry, $1.5 million tax budget is still fairly significant. We're talking 1-2% worth of our stuff here, so again, I'm trying to make sure that we're looking at all the different things, so that's another one there. Last one I have on the revenue side is number 48,370. It's for the DPW sales revenue. You have it down at 0, but dump truck, is that gonna be sold this year or next?
Yeah, but I don't know, that I think is gonna go back into the, wherever the board decides to place that money.
Well, it should go towards the new truck.
Well, that's not the way it works.
Well, that's what we were discussing when we were getting it approved.
It's up to the board where it goes, but usually it goes into the general fund after that.
Yeah, I think we did talk about putting it on the loan for the new truck.
Because then that would decrease the amount of loan, which is the point of selling the old truck.
So then we would actually have that correct, it being 0 for the expected amount of revenue coming in from the sale of dump truck.
And,
And that's
also,
my recollection of the discussion also, was that revenue from the truck sales was to go right back to
Because
the
I'm
loan.
sure it could go in my notes, and I believe I have it written down.
You're probably right, Tracy. I just bringing it up
Because
because,
I know I asked the same question, are we selling the old truck? And you said, yep, after we get it tweaked, just so it's not.
and hence the reason I saw
Right.
0 in the revenue,
Right.
so
I didn't
don't
get
know how
to
that's-
see that yet,
I don't
so.
know how that plays through to the under finance things.
And I think it was discussed too that they anticipated selling it this year instead of next year, is that correct?
I'm trying to get it off the books in this
That
month.
was the intention.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
What about the lawnmowers? Weren't you looking to replace the lawnmowers?
I'm good right now,
Okay.
I'm good right now, but I mean, they get a lot of use on them. So I don't like to buy anything unless I absolutely have to.
Well,
I know,
we got nothing in the budget for you to buy, so that's why I'm asking.
right.
Okay. Going to costs. First of all, right on the front end of the costs is a line item for utilities, and it looks like we've actually decreased the amount for utilities. For 23, down past what we've already prior paid through October for 22, even though that We Energy's rates are going to go up significantly. I'm just wondering, do we have enough cost in there for utilities?
Because I just got another notice stating that's gonna be going up again.
The board was meeting today, the Public Service Commission.
I got an email too about that.
I don't know how that worked out. I'm sure they probably voted in favor of it.
And it's been all over, the utility costs are gonna go nowhere but up.
It's gonna,
So,
I think when-
until under budget that, you need to risk.
well, I think we looked at that, and of course, we looked at the actual being, basically 14,000, we went to 17,650.
I don't think that's enough cushion for the inflation coming.
we're looking at 7 to 8% increase for industrial, or for commercial, and up to 16% for residential. I don't know what that means for the municipality though.
And I
Should've
think some of
gone
this
with
cost here too was replacement of the lights.
That's a separate line item, and I'm gonna get to that here in a little bit.
Okay.
Because you guys took the budget all the way down to 0 for 23, even though we've spent about 18,000 for this year. So the utilities, the next one I got And again, this is going in order on these sheets. The court wages, I'm assuming that's for the judge. It's, right now, you've lowered it by $6,000, which is less than what the 22 actuals are through October. Again, I'm just wondering if there was a change with the wages. I thought I saw that the,
Yes, there is, because, Gail retired, and the new clerk is basically in here as a part-time clerk.
She's not making the
no,
wages.
that's not the clerk though, the clerk has a separate line item in there, Jeff, I believe.
I don't think so.
Well, it's gotta be combined because court judge, $3,600 annual, and the court clerk is $23 annual, or hourly, sorry. It was significant drop, $6,000, so I was just curious to make sure that we had everything covered in there. Next one I got here is for the clerk treasurer. Right now, looking at 2021 actual numbers was 76,700. The 22 actuals through October was 58,247. And then the amount that you've budgeted for 23 is 66,000, and that's estimated on $45,000 listed salary if we can get somebody hired full time. My first question is that 66 going to be a number that can be attained, given the fact that it looks like we're on track to be over that by the time that December 22 is done. Number two is, are we putting enough in there, or do we have to take a look at potentially raising the salary from 45,000 to something else, and maybe we can entice somebody to actually come in full time?
Basically what you have here is, our clerk has come and asked for a decrease in wages.
Okay.
And that's because she is going on this Social Security.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that was somewhere between $3 and $5 per hour.
Yeah.
So my question is, how long is that going to last?
Well, the way things are going, it may last for a while.
Okay.
Because right now, finding a clerk is very difficult.
Oh, it absolutely is. I've said this before, that the city of Mosquito is looking for an associate treasurer, which is basically an administrative position that would, if working full 40 hours a week, would be $58,000 plus benefits.
Right.
We're offering $45,000, want more experience in that position at Mosquito, and we can't offer benefits. We're not going to get anybody for that.
Right.
Anybody of caliber that can basically help run this like an administrative person should be able to.
Well, and the nice thing about
And
it is,
we're suffering because of that.
Yeah,
It's no offense to the three individuals that are doing a wonderful job, but I've heard a lot of citizen complaints over the fact that we are not open on Thursdays and Fridays, that we have hours that may be, times that there may not be anybody in here during Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. We're having a difficult time trying to keep up with things on our internet website. And I know that there's training that's being done, so hopefully we can start working with that, but we're missing things on assessments. It's things that is, if someone was full-time, I could say that we're at least trying to attain control over some of that. And again, it's I have to stress that the three ladies that are doing the one full-time position are doing a great job, but it's just, in my opinion, unattainable to try to do that long-term whenever we're trying to look for a position full-time to try to do that administrative process of clerk and treasurer and administrator and keep the office rolling and the lights working. Today's a great example of that too, with our issue with our computer people showing up apparently unannounced and tearing our computer system down while we needed to have this live stream tonight. We had to jump through some hoops to get that done this afternoon to make sure that we could do it. I feel that was probably scheduled. I feel that there's probably, because they're not just going to come, knocking on the door and saying, "Surprise, we're here. We're going to take your system down for 4 days." But we have to have a face to this village, and that face happens to be the person that stands behind that glass in there. And if we can't do this for $45,000, and we're pigeonholing ourselves down to 66,000 for total wages for 23, whenever it looks like, you know, in 21, we were definitely over that, 22, we're potentially over that. And even if one of the three ladies that are helping us out is taking a pay cut, I don't know if we're where we need to be.
I don't think we are, you know, I totally agree with what you're saying, but where's the money gonna come from, Tony?
Well, that's the bigger picture that we need to really start taking a look at, Jeff. Where is the money going to come from? We can't tax anymore. We shouldn't. It's our obligation not to. But we're at the levy limits. We can't. I'd love to see us get, you know, knock it down some. I mean, even this right here, raising it from $8.24 per $1,000 of assessed value up to $8.31 per assessed value. Who knows? We might, instead of being third highest in the state, we might come up to number 2, or heck, we might be number 1. That's not a number 1 that you want to obtain. We're too small of a village to have that title for one of the top 3 mill rates in the state. We just can't keep doing this. There's businesses that look at that and go, there's residents that look at that and say the same thing. I'm not sure that I want to pay all that on a brand new house. I can jump over to Vernon and knock that down significantly. And I've talked to people that have made that decision. We're probably missing opportunities because we have too high of a mill rate.
I bought one of the oldest houses in town where I thought a reasonable price and our taxes have gone up drastically in the last 9 years.
Well, I totally agree with that.
Because it went from, I think right now we're up almost $900 right now than what we used to pay.
And on top of all that, we have the other bear in the corner to address, which is our roads, which is a huge, significant cost factor in the future too. I have to share my frustration. I love the ladies and the jobs that they're doing right now, but we're so disorganized. You know, we're missing information for board meetings that should be coming out to us like a line item. Again, I've heard from people, multiple people, why isn't the office open? I'm just gonna echo everything Tony says. We need to find something somewhere to get somebody professional in here to help us in that front office. And again, I don't know where we're going into the first year. I think that's a discussion the board and finance needs to really focus on.
I agree with
Because
you.
that office has been open since,
July.
and we really haven't had
June.
any candidates to speak of, have we?
None.
So.
That's because anybody with 6 months of experience can go over to Mosquito and get $14,000, $15,000 more than what we can offer,
And benefits.
And benefits.
and benefits.
Which, you know, we're trying to
I
get
know
back on
Vernon
it.
just hired somebody for over 100
125,000.
as an administrator also. I know we can't compete with that, but we have to find the money somewhere to do better, because we
They
owe
had
it
a
to our
hard time
citizens.
doing that. You know, and when we had the gals from Waukesha help us out, their assistants were making 80,000. I totally agree with you, you know, but we're stuck in a point where until we get more revenue coming in, we will have some with our development. We need to continue to work on the business part up by the interstate. You know, and I think that's where things got caught with gambling that was gonna happen. And that's where the village went up 33% approximately on their taxes in 2 years. And we've been working on that the last 4 to 6 years, and we've not had those kind of increases. But, you know, they needed to do that to run the village, you know, and, but this board has been trying to turn that around, and it takes some time. You know, we have some people that are interested up there. You know, our biggest downfall is the fact that we don't have the water and sewer. We've got one of the greatest places up there to develop.
Which will unfortunately take money to do it.
Yeah, it sure will.
12 to 15 million is the estimate right now.
Yeah.
That's about 12 to 15 million more than what we currently have the ability to pay.
That's right. So, hey, I'm with you. Help us out, tell us what we gotta do. I know we have to look at it this next year to figure out something.
I think we need to start looking right now in January.
Yeah,
And not let it slide till November, December when we revisit the budget process. I really think this needs to be a goal of the board to take a really hard look at this and try to figure this out. I don't think it's the right direction for us at all right now.
We need to do a couple of things. First of all, we need to take a look really super hard at our budget and see how we may be able to exchange things around a little bit. We're at the 11th hour on this. I'm not sure if we even have the luxury of time to go back and try to figure this out to where we could do it, but I've suggested before, we need professional help. We need somebody greater than the contractors that we currently have, the consultants that we currently have coming in. We need somebody that can advise us financially and how to grow. We need a person that's familiar with that. I'm not the person for that. I don't think any of our consultants that we have really even combined have the experience level of somebody that we need to try to tell us the direction that we can go. If we sit here, non-accountants, do any with a CPA at the table? No. We need somebody with a CPA. We need like the people that come in and do our audits after the fact to audit us up front and tell us how we can use our money to our advantage. I sent you that article that was put out. I don't know if you had a chance to read it or not. It talks about municipal debt in the state of Wisconsin and how it's grown significantly and how it's putting a pinch on places like us. People are having to make the hard decisions. People are having to make the very difficult decisions on revenue versus expenditures. And if they can't get more revenue, or if that revenue stream is going to be elongated, like development would be up top, it would benefit us somewhat in a few years, but through the tip and the kids and everything, it's going to be a while before we would realize tax coming back in. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't still try to get to that step, but it's not going to be an immediate solving this within the next 3 years or 5 years. This is more of a long-term 10 or 15 before we'd start seeing that benefit. But we need to keep going on that. We're gonna have to take a very hard look at where our expenses are and make some very difficult decisions on cutting those expenditures. That's another step that we really have to take a look at. We need somebody to advise us on that so that we have some outside help to that. Somebody that has the experience levels that not necessarily we can bring from the board here. It's a two-pronged process. We've got to take a look at what we've got, and then we have to take a look at where we need to be and make the two of them meet in the middle. I don't think that the village I don't think that we should be treating the village from a year-to-year aspect. Because every year, it starts in September or August, whenever it is, it starts taking a look at the budgets. How much, more are we going to get in off of property taxes and so forth and so on? How many grants can we get through the fire department? Where's money coming from the police to support from different places and all that? We gotta quit looking from year to year, and we have to start taking a look at the attainability of a 3-year, 5-year, 10-year, 30-year plan. We need somebody to help us develop that so we've got the envision and how to get there. Otherwise, we're just gonna keep sloughing along and being in the situation that we're in, that we always have this discussion come early December.
I think we're all in agreement on that, though. I really do. So, maybe we can get a little more input from the board and not just the finance committee when it comes, like we had said before, we need to start this process long before when we do. But, we need to have the board get in here and help with this whole process, because you basically have 2 or 3 individuals that sit down here and go through departments and try to come up with expenses and expenditures and revenue and the whole 9 yards. And as laymen, we do try to do the best we can.
And I think you guys are doing a really good job with what resources we have. I mean, Jeff, you guys have been able to bring down our debt. You've been able to get rid of the short-term loans. You've been able to now start tackling the major part of the debt, the long-term debt that we have, to where it's ballooned up and we're now at almost the top principal level of payments that we're going to be making. At the same time, we haven't had to raise significantly any taxes. Again, we really can't because it was already there before, as high as we could get. But we've also been able to shave it down a little bit. Each year up until this year, for the last, 3 years, we've been at least able to bring that mill rate down a little bit. I mean, I think you guys are doing a great job, but now we just have to quit living from year to year. And we have to start taking a look at the bigger
I
picture.
totally agree, because we're living this like people that run at their household paycheck to paycheck, and you get in trouble doing that. And I totally agree, we need to have a long-term goal here to operate it. But you gotta get your feet at least on solid ground and not sinking in water, which I think we've done for a while. And I'm not arguing that, with you that we shouldn't go where you're saying we do. So, let's start putting this on the agenda January, February, whatever it is, and come in with some ideas here. And, as far as, yeah, maybe there's some more cuts we can make. We've made a lot of cuts.
Let me go back. I got like 3 more line items here.
Okay.
Sorry, that was kind of a big ticket thing, but
Well, no, we agree with you.
the,
And we gave a tax cut 2 years ago, which unfortunately we probably shouldn't have done. We probably should have said no to that, because once you give money back, the government's not gonna let you get it straightened out on that. And so that right there put us in a little bit of a hole right out of the chute. We didn't have the money to give back.
well, speaking of money to give back, I got line item 52-210, which is the FAP grant monies. It actually shows $18,000 as an expense, but shouldn't that actually be a revenue? Isn't that grant
Were
money
you
that
at
comes
again
to
now,
us?
52 what?
52-210?
52-210 has to show an in and an out.
It only shows an N, as far as I can
I
tell.
think that
It
one
was-
might have went into the wrong GL, and it was,
There were some of these that had to get straightened out, Tony. And it may be on the final of this.
I'm pointing it out, so we can just take a look and make sure. And I agree with you that we'd have to show an in and out, but I can only find the in. But it was showing as an expenditure and not a revenue coming in.
Yeah, and some of that stuff is stuff we talked about in the last meeting, or 2 meetings ago.
But the way I could feed it through in the half an hour that I was able to take a look at it, it almost looked like it would throw our expenditures off by 18,000 because it didn't show.
There were definitely some that weren't in the right areas that we had question marks on, and Kelly has cleaned up.
So the next one I got here is 53-420, it's for streetlights. I think it's under the DPW budget. The thing is that we showed a significant budget for 22 and a spend in 22, but now you got no budget for 23. It's blank.
And what's that number you think?
53-420.
I couldn't tell you why that's blank.
Well, it's a significant cost. It's like $20,000, so.
Right,
Yeah.
and there should be something in there.
Okay. That's gonna throw it off as well. The next one I got is 55-200 for parks and forestry wages for 15,000. I don't even know what that is. Is that anything through
Sorry,
your
what was that?
parks and forestry wages for 15,000? It just showed up. I don't think we had a budget last year, but you got 15K in there for this year.
That may be another item that's in the wrong area, but you do have some costs there for parks and forestry that.
That's what we cover the part-time
The
people.
mowing and stuff like that, yeah.
Okay. I thought that was under a different line item, but again, I didn't have too long to take a look at this. Last one I got here is 56,300 for planning and development engineer. You had a budget for, I think it was a budget for 22, if I have this written down right, I was doing it pretty quick. Budget for 22 is $75,000, and you dropped that down to $35,000 for 23.
We don't have near the development coming in that we had in 22.
Didn't have that much development coming in 22. And we do have, I don't know what planning and development engineer covers because there's other line items that shows expenditures on that as well.
Just the stage, I think it had something to do with that too, and most of that's done this year.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, it's just significant.